Okay, so I'm going to explain, so just make sure you are quiet. If you want to give it a listen as well, where did it go? Okay, I've also filmed 4 because I assumed we wouldn't have enough class time. I will upload that for you to have a listen. These are hard questions. If you quite don't get this, don't stress too much because it's only probably going to be a portion of the test. Okay, it's only going to be a problem solving like an A standard. So if you're aiming for an A, definitely do get some support on it. But this is only a fraction. I would rather you get more support on 2A.1, 2, etc., 2B, etc. So with this one, all I need to do is first of all figure out that sum of the roots is twice their product. So all I need to do is this is the sum of the roots. This is the product of the roots. I should be able to formulate a equation from it. So how could I write sum of the roots is twice their product using those 2 things I've written on the board? How can I write that as an equation? Well, that's what you need to think about. So sum of the root is going to be twice their product. So hopefully this is an equation you are able to write down. So write down as you go if you want to. Obviously I will post it so if you can listen to it later as well. So now I need to solve this, find k and 2 roots. So first of all, I notice my a, b, and c. What's my a? Well, it's the coefficient. So it's going to be k. It's not going to be a number because they're not going to make it too easy for you. My b is actually going to be this. You needed to make sure the minus is in there. And your c is all of the constants that don't have any x or x squared terms. X is the coefficient. We don't write it. Is not a coefficient, so we don't write it. Okay, so I'll highlight the coefficients part. So K is A, this is B, this is your C component. So you should be able to hopefully write this down. Do you remember what sum of the 2 roots equal to as symbols? Oh, someone memorized it. Negative B over A. It is on the board still as well. So all I need to do is use these, A, B, and C, and write it down. So how can I write negative B over A? So I need to make sure I have a negative and then another negative, so you know that it turns into a positive. So I'm going to ignore it and just write 1 plus K. And then we've got an A on the bottom, so A is going to be what for us today? K. So that's our sum of the product of our roots. So it doesn't make much sense at the moment, but it's just equations. We're going to problem solve it in a second. This one, the product of the roots is going to look like what? What's the symbol? What's the equation? What does it say on the board? C over A. So I always like to write it down just in case you get it wrong. So C over A. So C is 3K over 2. So I substitute that in. And A is K. So just make sure you're watching, either listening or you're writing down as you go, but that you are listening. So Raf, just make sure you're listening. Okay, so this is the kind of 2 equations we have to work with. So all I can do is I can actually use this equation and sub it in. So instead of writing A plus B, sum of the roots, what could I sub in? Any ideas? I could sub this in. It's in terms of K. So instead of writing alpha plus beta, the sum of the products, I'm going to write that in. So here we go. Underneath it, can you write 1 plus K over K? So that's the sum of the products. And then this equation that satisfies it is going to be the products part. So it's twice their product. That second equation is coming straight from the question itself. So I need to write the 2 because there's a 2 there. So I'll write the 2 in a different color. So that's not a part of the original answer. And then the answer, alpha times beta, is that component. So it is a bit tricky. You need to be able to understand that we're substituting what into correct things. So I'm going to write 3 bracket. Make sure you've got a bracket. So that 2 is expanded onto everything. So this is what we're trying to solve, and this is the K we're trying to solve. So if we solve this quadratic, I'm assuming it's going to be a quadratic. Maybe not, or maybe we'll just be able to find K. We should be able to find K, and then therefore the 2 roots. So we'll give it a go. What's the first step you think I could do? I don't have fraction equals fraction quite yet. So on the right-hand side, what could I do to simplify it? Multiply 2 onto where? The numerator or the denominator? Anyone? Yeah, you definitely could. Yep. Yeah, so it is numerator. So 2 gets expanded out to the numerator. So 2 times 3K, 2 times 2. So that ends up being your new numerator. And this is what you're working with. We have fraction equals a fraction, Olivia? So if we have a fraction equals fraction, what technique do we use? What algebra? Lovely. So cross multiply one diagonal at a time. So we do this diagonal. If we times it, if you can't do it in your head, just write it. That's fine. K bracket K plus, sorry, I'll write it in the same order. Equals. Then I do the other diagonal. Okay, make sure you have brackets. Right, lovely. So now I expand. So K plus K squared, 6K squared plus 4K. And then what do? I need to make them all on one side. Okay, so which sides do you reckon I should put it on? I would say put it on the right side because right has a bigger 6K squared. So I'm going to go minus K squared. Make sure you do it to both sides. So you get 0 equals 6K squared take K squared. How many K squareds? 5K squareds. And then you got 4K take a K. Lovely. So this is the K equation we're working with. We should be able to factorize that and use null factor law to find the solution. What's the first thing we could try? Is there any common factors? You see any? I see a K. So I'm going to factorize out a K. What's my first term going to be, Harry? If I factorize a K for the first term. If I divide this term by K, 5K. Lovely. Maybe I'll get Naomi to help me out with the second one. What would my second term be? If I divide the second term by K. So if I divide that by K. Yeah, lovely. So this is what we are aiming for. We should have 2 answers of K. Can you figure them out using null factor law? That can be 0, also that can be 0. I'll give you 15 seconds to figure it out. I'll write my answer on the board so you can confirm. Maybe do it in your head if you haven't written anything down. This is what I got. Lovely. And then 0 as well. So you have 2 options. So you found 2 options, meaning now we should be able to find the 2 roots. Okay? So we should be able to find the 2 roots and go rearrange it. So I might pause it there because it's getting a little bit longer. I'll get you to do the rest. I reckon that part is the hardest part. Using our knowledge, writing basically this equation is probably going to be the hard part. Writing that equation that the question gives you is the hard part. Once you construct it, you just use algebra to find your answers. And then once you find your K, you're pretty much 80% there. You just have to sub it back into the equation over here, and find your answers for alpha and beta. Okay, so I'll leave it there with you so you can give that a go.